Good morning. I just want to take a minute and talk about the broth that you'll get from the food once you're done cooking the batch. All of this delicious, healthy broth, I can't stress enough just how nutritious it is. It's packed with nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids. And I do say in the book, don't throw it away. Save some, put it in the fridge, freeze some, and use it as a food topper. But I also want to talk about different ways of incorporating it into the food without having to use it as a topper. And one great way is with the oatmeal. If you're going to use oatmeal as a carb, then you can use the broth instead of water and make a really healthy batch of oatmeal to go in the dog food. So the way you'll do that is you'll bring up the weight of oatmeal that you need halved. So I need 2 pounds of oatmeal, so I've got 1 pound in here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the broth in, and it's nice to use a fat separator because that way you're not incorporating a bunch of fat into the oatmeal. So what I'll do is I will add broth until this reaches 2 pounds. It's okay if it's a little more. It's not going to hurt anything. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix and knead this really well with my hands until it becomes milky and soft and all of that broth is absorbed. And I'll show you what that looks like. And there you have it. That oatmeal is ready for the batch of food. I also want to mention that you can use the broth if you're going to be grinding your own bones and you've watched one of my grinding cooked bone videos. You can use the broth instead of water, which I don't know why I didn't do that for the video. Something in my brain was telling me to use cold water because it helps cool down the food, but it doesn't because once you grind the bone, it turns into a really hot batch of bone gravy, steaming hot. So use the broth instead. And yeah, try to incorporate that broth into the food as much as possible because you're just pouring vitamins and nutrients down the drain that your dog could have instead. Now, another really easy way to incorporate the broth is to just use it to thin out the batch. I've just added flaxseed in here, which tends to really thicken up the food. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pour some of the broth in there, and that'll help thin the food out so that it's not so thick at the end. So yeah, use the broth as much as you can. Use it as a food topper. Use it to grind the bone if you're grinding your own bone. Use it for the rice, use it for the oatmeal, and definitely use it as a food topper. It's so healthy and packed with nutrients.